A window to the world, introducing perception and visual theory. Perception, the process of experiencing and interpreting the world around us, is a fundamental aspect of human cognition. It is through perception that we make sense of our surroundings and navigate through life. Through our senses, we gather raw data from the environment, transforming it into meaningful information that guides our thoughts, actions, and interactions. This transformation is a complex process that involves both physiological and psychological components. Visual perception in particular plays a crucial role in shaping our understanding of the world. It allows us to appreciate the beauty of art, the vastness of landscapes, and the intricate details of everyday objects. We rely heavily on sight to navigate our surroundings, recognize objects and faces, and make sense of spatial relationships. This reliance on visual cues is essential for our daily interactions and overall well-being. The study of visual perception delves into the intricate mechanisms by which our brains process visual information. It explores how we interpret colors, shapes, and movements to form a coherent picture of the world. Researchers in this field explore the physiological processes of the eye and brain, as well as the psychological factors that influence how we see and interpret the world. They investigate how light is converted into neural signals and how these signals are processed to create visual experiences. This essay embarks on a journey into the fascinating realm of visual perception, exploring key theories and concepts that shed light on this complex process. We will examine how different theories have contributed to our understanding of visual perception. From the groundbreaking work of David Marr, who proposed a computational approach to understanding vision, to the influential principles of Gestalt psychology, which emphasize the human tendency to perceive patterns and wholes rather than just individual components, we will delve into the different stages of visual processing and the factors that shape our perception. This includes understanding how we detect, organize, and interpret visual stimuli. We will also examine the intriguing concept of affordances proposed by James Gibson, which highlights the inherent link between perception and action. Gibson's theory suggests that our perception is directly influenced by the possibilities for action that our environment offers. By understanding the principles of visual perception, we gain a deeper appreciation for the remarkable capabilities of the human brain and the intricate interplay between our senses and the environment. This knowledge not only enhances our comprehension of human cognition, but also has practical applications in fields such as design, art, and technology. Sensation and perception, two sides of the same coin. To truly grasp the essence of perception, we must first distinguish it from sensation. Sensation refers to the initial process of detecting physical stimuli from the environment through our sensory organs. In the case of vision, light waves enter the eye, stimulating photoreceptor cells in the retina and initiating a cascade of neural signals. Perception, on the other hand, involves the organization, interpretation, and attribution of meaning to these raw sensory inputs. While sensation provides the building blocks, perception constructs the coherent picture of our surroundings. Imagine looking at a red apple. The sensation involves the detection of light waves reflecting off the apple's surface, stimulating specific photoreceptor cells in your eyes that are sensitive to red wavelengths. Perception, however, goes beyond this basic sensory input. It involves recognizing the object as an apple, recalling past experiences with apples, and understanding its potential uses, such as eating it or using it in a pie. This example illustrates that perception is not a passive process of simply receiving sensory information. It is an active and constructive process influenced by our prior knowledge, expectations, and even our emotional state. Marr's visionary model, a three-tiered approach to understanding sight. In the 1980s, cognitive scientist David Marr revolutionized the field of visual perception with his computational approach. Marr's model proposed that visual processing occurs in a hierarchical manner, progressing through three distinct stages: the primal sketch, the 2.5D sketch, and the 3D model representation. The primal sketch, the initial stage of processing, extracts basic features from the retinal image, such as edges, contours, and changes in light intensity. This stage focuses on identifying areas of contrast and change, laying the groundwork for subsequent processing. The 2.5D sketch builds upon the primal sketch, incorporating information about depth, surface orientation, and distance. At this stage, the visual system begins to construct a representation of the scene from the viewer's perspective. Finally, the 3D model representation represents objects in a more complete and viewpoint-independent manner. This stage involves recognizing objects as three-dimensional entities, regardless of their orientation or the viewer's position. Mars model provides a valuable framework for understanding the complex computations underlying visual perception. It highlights the step-by-step nature of visual processing, with each stage building upon the previous one to create increasingly sophisticated representations of the visual world. Section 4. Gestalt's Guiding Principles. Unraveling the patterns we perceive. Gestalt psychology, a school of thought that emerged in the early 20th century, emphasizes the human tendency to perceive whole forms and patterns, rather than individual elements in isolation. This approach revolutionized the way we understand perception, suggesting that our minds are wired to see the bigger picture. Gestalt psychologists proposed a set of principles, known as the Gestalt principles of perceptual organization, that govern how we group visual elements together. These principles help explain why we see patterns and structures in what might otherwise appear as random assortments of shapes and colors. One fundamental principle is proximity, which states that elements close to each other are perceived as belonging together. This principle is evident in everyday life, from how we read text on a page to how we interpret clusters of stars in the night sky. For example, when we see a group of dots clustered together, we tend to perceive them as a single unit rather than individual dots. This grouping helps us make sense of complex visual environments quickly and efficiently. Another principle, similarity, suggests that elements that share visual characteristics, such as shape, color, or size, are perceived as related. This principle is crucial in design and art, where creating visual harmony often relies on grouping similar elements together. Think of a field of flowers where red poppies are interspersed with yellow daisies. Our brains naturally organize these flowers into groups based on their colors, making the scene more comprehensible and aesthetically pleasing. We naturally group the poppies together based on their shared red color and the daisies based on their yellow color. This automatic grouping helps us navigate and understand our environment more effectively. Closure is the principle that our minds tend to complete incomplete figures, filling in missing information to create whole shapes. This principle is why we can recognize familiar objects even when parts of them are obscured or missing. For instance, if we see a circle with a small gap, we perceive it as a complete circle rather than an arc. This ability to fill in gaps is essential for recognizing objects in our often cluttered and imperfect visual world. Continuity, another Gestalt principle, states that we perceive elements arranged in a line or curve as belonging together, even if they are interrupted by other elements. This principle helps us follow lines and paths in our visual field, aiding in navigation and understanding of complex scenes. These principles highlight the active role our brains play in organizing and interpreting visual information. Our perception is not a passive process, but an active construction of reality, shaped by these fundamental principles. We do not simply see a collection of unrelated elements, rather our minds strive for order and meaning, grouping elements together based on their relationships and patterns. This drive for coherence and understanding is at the heart of how we perceive and interact with the world around us. Section 5, Gibson's affordances, how the world beckons us to act. In the realm of visual perception, James J. Gibson's theory of affordances stands out as a unique and influential perspective. His work has significantly shaped our understanding of how we interact with the world around us. Gibson challenged the traditional view that perception primarily serves to create internal representations of the world. This was a groundbreaking shift from the conventional cognitive psychology models that dominated the field. Instead, he argued that perception is fundamentally linked to action, and that we perceive the environment in terms of its possibilities for action, which he termed affordances. This concept revolutionized the way we think about the relationship between perception and action. According to Gibson, affordances are the potential actions that objects and environments offer to an organism. These affordances are not static, they can change based on the context and the individual's capabilities. They are not inherent properties of objects themselves, but emerge from the relationship between an organism's capabilities and the characteristics of the environment. This dynamic interaction is crucial for understanding how we navigate our surroundings. For example, a chair affords sitting to a person who is capable of sitting, providing a clear illustration of how affordances work in everyday life, while a flight of stairs affords climbing to someone who can climb. These simple examples highlight the practical applications of Gibson's theory. Importantly, affordances are perceived directly, without the need for complex cognitive processing or inference. This direct perception allows for immediate and effective interaction with our environment. We do not need to consciously analyze the shape, size, or material of a chair to understand that it affords sitting. This intuitive understanding is a key aspect of Gibson's theory. The perception of affordances has significant implications for our understanding of how we interact with the world. It suggests that our interactions are more fluid and natural than previously thought. The perception of affordances has significant implications for our understanding of how we interact with the world. It suggests that perception is not merely a passive process of receiving information, but an active process that guides our actions and shapes our behavior. It suggests that perception is not merely a passive process of receiving information, but an active process that guides our actions and shapes our behavior. This active engagement with our environment is essential for survival and adaptation. Gibson's theory highlights the close relationship between perception and action, emphasizing the ecological validity of perception in real-world contexts. This perspective has profound implications for fields ranging from psychology to design, emphasizing the ecological validity of perception in real-world contexts. By considering the environment in which perception occurs, we gain a more comprehensive understanding of human behavior. By understanding affordances, we gain insights into how organisms perceive and interact with their surroundings, revealing the dynamic interplay between perception, action, and the environment. This understanding can inform various practical applications, from designing user-friendly products to creating effective learning environments, revealing the dynamic interplay between perception, action, and the environment. This interplay is a testament to the complexity and adaptability of human perception, highlighting the importance of considering both the organism and its environment in psychological research.